Hey guys, this is Krista from the Moratorium. Do you like grisly gore and mysteries? Of course you do. That is why I suggest you subscribe to my blog, Suspended Animation, Dormant Stories Waiting to be Told, where we at the Moratorium offer a number of lurid tales from axemen running around New Orleans to phantoms in Texarkana. And if you're feeling especially generous, head over to our Patreon, where for just a couple bucks a month, you can help the Moratorium grow. And that would be pretty kick-ass. And remember, long live VHS.
Sleigh bells rung, are you listening? The pool of blood is warm and glistening, a pitiful sight as they all die in fright, walking through a crime scene, hand in hand. Cue the music.
And in 3, 2, 1, I already forgot it.
You will be soon to speak as a giant, or like all the others, dead.
You think I imagined all of it, don't you? You think I'm insane?
That's feng shui.
A match made in a bathroom, just floating into the void.
Krista!
Tim!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Oh, Merry Christmas. It's about time that we get this year over with. I'm done with it. I'm over it.
We're done with 2021?
Yeah, let's get on to 2022. I'm sure there's going to be some great stories coming out of 2022.
Definitely.
Some good times. But we didn't come here today to talk about good times, now did we?
We didn't. No. We don't talk about good things, Tim.
No. I want to apologize to my audience for my nervous laughter sometimes, and I'm going to make bad jokes, and we're going to talk about really horrible things, and I'm going to try to joke about it as much as possible, and I'm a really bad person for it.
Terrible. Absolutely. You're on the naughty list for sure.
That's it. Where's my coal? Sorry, not sorry, guys.
Well, we've definitely got a list of people that ruined Christmas for sure.
Oh, they made the naughty list. So before we get on with this Christmas Carnage Part 2, I think Jason and I did a Christmas Carnage movie marathon back in the day. So, we could call this Christmas Carnage Part 2. This is definitely carnage. If these Santa suits were not already red, they would be blood-soaked. Now, that joke didn't land either. Welcome to the Moratorium. I'm Tim Corn. I messed up my own fucking name.
What?
I'm Tim Cornman.
Who are you?
And with me is Krista Funk. That's your cue.
Oh, that's me.
Oh, okay. Oh, hey, yeah. We were taking roll, and I almost marked you absent.
Present.
Present.
Just because I'm running to my seat. I'm here.
Okay. Krista, what are we talking about today?
Well, I feel like it's not the merriest of subjects.
That's right. Merry Christmas, everybody's dead.
I don't know what goes through a person's mind when they decide that they're going to murder someone, but, to do it, say, like, in a Santa Claus suit? Or I mean, does anybody do that, Tim?
I think they do.
That's really messed up.
They do. It is super messed up. The most controversial movie from, mid-'80s was Silent Night, Deadly Night, where, there was a killer Santa Claus, and it was banned for a while. That nobody wanted to play it because, we depicted Santa Claus and this jolly time, and this guy is killing people. And guess what? Now it's a cult classic. And I know we're going to talk about some really horrible things today. And guys, if you're having a rough time with Christmas, if you really come to your wit's end and just decide that it's the end of the road and you want to take a bunch of people out as well as yourself, don't. All right?
Just say no to murder.
Just say no to murder. I want that on a bumper sticker.
Just say no to murder. Just don't stab people, okay?
Yes.
Just stop.
Or shoot people, or set them on fire, or torture them because you think they may or may not be evil. What do you do, Krista, when you feel like you want to go out and kill somebody?
Well, I'll tell you, Tim, I've never really felt like I was going to go out and kill somebody.
No? You work in retail?
Well, this is true.
I feel like retail would steer you towards.
And I do work in retail in the Christmas season.
Yep. But you're selling holiday cheers.
When they come in, I'm not like, hey, what's happening? I talk about murders online. How are you today? You guys want to talk about JonBenet Ramsey? Because we're going to talk about JonBenet Ramsey.
Right.
I mean, I am very pleasant and I smile. And I'm pretty sure a lot of those people would be shocked if they knew that in my spare time I read about scary, horrible things that happen to people. And yet I'm so cheery.
We're not bad people. We just like talking about bad people.
Judging by these crimes, there are definitely some terrible fucking people out there.
And there's probably some terrible people that we don't even know about, that we haven't even uncovered yet. Let's just hope that we can get through this holiday season without killing our families. Have a drink, be merry, and enjoy yourself, because life is too short anyway. Let's not make it any shorter. With that said, I have a bunch of holiday evil and horrible stories around this Christmas season from all through the years. I think my earliest goes back into the 1920s. So I've got a bunch of them. I think you have a bunch of stories, and I think we just need to start picking them off one by one. Oh, bad choice of words. What do you got for me, Krista?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, I got one right here in the state of Oklahoma.
I want to go first.
You want to go first?
No.
Nope, I'm done. I'm done with yours. I'm bored already.
In Oklahoma, huh?
Oklahoma.
Oh, nothing bad ever happens here?
Never. 99.
Ooh, not too far away.
Unsolved Mysteries actually did an episode about these two girls.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was like 2000, something like that. But back in 99, on December 29th, actually, so just after Christmas.
Okay.
Two 16-year-old girls, Laura Bible, Ashley Freeman, they were best friends, inseparable. They were living in Welch, Oklahoma. That's where they went to school there. They were cheerleaders at the high school. Normal girls, sweet, small town girls. They haven't really had much time to get in trouble, haven't been anywhere to get in any trouble. Yet, on December 29th, 1999, their house went up in flame. I think it was the Freeman house went up in flames.
They were not partying like it was 1999.
They definitely were not partying like it was 1999, even though it was Ashley's birthday.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
It was Ashley's 16th birthday, and they'd gone out to a pizzeria, I believe, with Ashley's parents, and they'd had dinner, and then none of this was unusual about the girls. They were always, always together and always staying at each other's houses. Their parents were real close with both of the girls, going back and forth to their normal hangout spots, each other's houses. They'd done this a million times.
They're besties.
But it was like 5:30 in the morning on the 29th. There was a passerby, motorist, was driving by and noticed that the Freeman home, it wasn't on fire. This house was like engulfed in flames.
Wow.
Okay, it's burning to the ground.
And Welch is it pretty rural? I hate saying that word.
Rural? I don't know where the hell Welch is. Someone Google that. Google Welch.
Let's see. Welch, town in Oklahoma. Population 631. Wow.
Awesome. Awesome. It sucks there.
So not only were these two girls cheerleaders, they were the cheerleading squad. That was it. Wow. Okay, I did not realize it was that small. Continue. I'm sorry.
They called 911. Police come out. They put the fire out. And once the fire's out, the police quickly find Kathy Freeman. This is Ashley Freeman's mother.
Okay.
She's on the floor in the master bedroom, and her autopsy revealed that she didn't die from smoke inhalation or something like that. Instead, she died from a bullet to the head.
Oh.
That'll do it.
That's why she didn't make it out of the house.
She died before the fire. Unfortunately, though, like, the police can't find the rest of the family. They can't find Dad, Danny Freeman. They can't find Ashley, the daughter. I believe their son Shane was already dead. I'm going to have to Google that here in a minute. Sorry, Tim. But the girls, Laura, Bible, and Ashley Freeman are both missing. Neither of their bodies are present in the fire, in the rubble. And neither can they find Danny Freeman. So, of course, the first thought here is, something's happened with Danny Freeman. He's done something with these girls. He killed his wife. And it wasn't weird for them to necessarily think that. I mean, he had been in some trouble with the law. There'd been some issues there, some run-in with the law and his son's death and the way that they handled that and whatnot. But on the 31st, when Laura Bible's parents went out to the Freeman house and were searching through the rubble, they found Danny Freeman's remains in the rubble.
I guess you're telling me that the Welch CSI team was slacking on the job?
I feel like, that's a good assessment. Yeah, I don't even have a joke to make there. Just just yes. Yes, they suck is the answer to no. But it's Laura Bible's parents that find Danny Freeman. Yeah, they don't find their daughter. They don't find Ashley, but they find the dad. And he, too, has a bullet in the head.
Oh, damn. It says he was also shot execution style.
I mean, something terrible happened in the Freeman house.
Yeah.
And these girls are missing. They still don't turn up in the rubble at all. Okay. Ever. Still. Nobody knows where they are. But to this day, they've not turned up. But anyway, people started wondering if it was possible that the girls had, okay, Danny Freeman obviously didn't do this. He's dead. But is it possible that the girls did this? They had never exhibited any violent, scary behavior before. So yes, it would be super out of character. But I mean, was it possible that, that they had done this? But there just didn't seem to be any evidence, physical or otherwise, to point to that. Everyone who knew them, were they unhappy? No, they seemed perfectly happy. Everyone that knew the girls, didn't describe them as, rebellious or, always sneaking out and causing trouble or wanting to run away or, always getting in trouble or partying excessively or being violent. They had no reputation for this whatsoever.
Well, this being such a small town, everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, I would think that
you're not going to get away with shit in this town.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when the motorist drove by the Freeman's house that day, they already knew whose house it was. Yeah, with that being said, you know where everybody lives, Yeah. But it did turn out that Danny Freeman, in 2001, like when this story appeared on Unsolved Mysteries, they talked about how Danny Freeman and his wife did have a dispute with the police department regarding their son. I guess he was shot trying to steal a car, and the deputy that shot him, he had come at him or he threatened him or something. I can't remember what exactly they had said in the show, but
it says right here in Wikipedia, I mean, word for word, just saying that rumors have circulated among locals that Craig County Police Department had been feuding with the Freemans at a time over the death of their son, Shane, who was shot by a deputy after stealing a car. While the death was ruled justifiable, and I guess it's what you're saying, so they said he came at him?
Yeah, in the show, and in that episode of Unsolved Mysteries, they talk about this dispute that the Freemans had with the police department. They don't go into it super thoroughly or anything, but they do mention that they were upset obviously with the police for having shot and killed their son, but the argument there was whether or not this deputy had reason to shoot him. The Freemans argued that they did not, that they just shot and killed him. But I don't know exactly what, I know that that's terrible organization here, but I really don't know the details of their son Shane's death Just
Right.
that,
No, it's
just that there was an argument between
just
the
a little
Freemans,
history. Yeah.
between the Freemans and the police over whether or not the police had good reason to shoot him. You know, was he armed? Was he not armed? Did he come at them? Did he threaten them? And of course, we know from the spread of, videos, everybody having, cameras on their phones these days, that yes, this stuff does happen. Sometimes the police wrongfully shoot people.
Yeah.
So
Was there an ongoing dispute possibly with the family, and maybe they were thinking there was a link there with the police department?
Yeah, I think the idea there was, we get rid of the whole family. I think maybe the target might have been Danny Freeman, but I'm not entirely sure. Just someone went into their house on December 29th and blew Kathy Freeman and Danny Freeman away and took off with the girls. For whatever reason you would take off with these girls, I'm not sure, unless you're Ronnie, how do you pronounce his name? Busick?
Busick. So, yeah, Ronnie Busick.
April 2018, it's reported that Ronnie Dean Busick, age 66, had been arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Bible and Freeman, and 2 other suspects, Warren Phil Welch II and David Pennington, were also identified. They confessed, said that they killed them and dumped their bodies in Pitcher, Oklahoma. Okay. I do know where Pitcher is, and Pitcher is a ghost town. That's an abandoned town. It's like the area is toxic. And it's not a Chernobyl situation, but it's unlivable and it's abandoned, and they claimed to have dumped the girls' bodies there, and which, obviously in the last couple years is sparked these hunts out at Pitcher to find these girls, but yet so far as far as I know, they haven't found them yet.
Why is Pitcher a ghost town? It says it was a major national center of lead and zinc mining for more than 100 years.
Yeah, except the metal that they were mining is toxic.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so everybody had to get out, and then that's that. You can go there. It's what, a couple hours from where we live.
Oh yeah, that's where I want to go, to a more toxic environment. Great.
You can drive through it and go, see the spooky Pitcher, Oklahoma, but you don't want to live there, No. But yeah, it has something to do with the metals that they were mining were super toxic, and therefore the town had to be evacuated, and now it's a ghost town. However, if you wanted to hide a body, whenever I read that's where they said that they had dumped the girls' bodies was in Pitcher, Oklahoma. I was kind of wondering, if you did want to hide a body, that might be the place to do it. Nobody.
Yeah.
It's not like
nobody wants to go traipsing around there.
It's spooky because it's abandoned, But now you have this added mystery, are Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible, are their bodies out there somewhere? Because it's not like these guys gave really great details as to where they were, or have shown investigators exactly where they are. But yeah, anybody listening to this, Google Earth Pitcher, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
You're welcome.
It's a spooky place.
I hear their Christmas parade is to die for.
It's, toxic. It'll make you really sick, but it's fine. People go there and take pictures and stuff like that, spooky Pitcher, Oklahoma, but I don't know that, it's spooky for any other reason than, Chernobyl. People just had to kind of pick up and bail, and move out. It's not quite as the situation that Chernobyl was, but, these buildings were still there, and their stuff is still there and stuff like that. Mm. These guys claimed that they kidnapped these girls, and of course, they did all sorts of horrible things to these girls before finally murdering them and dumping their bodies in Pitcher. Pitcher is in the middle of nowhere, and it's a ghost town, so I guess if you wanted to hide a body, that might, be a place to do that.
What are you trying to tell us, Krista? How many times you've been out to Pitcher? You seem to know a little bit about this town.
Well, if you disappear, I'm just saying.
Look for me in Pitcher.
In Pitcher.
So it says here on Wikipedia that there was a female witness who lived with Welch, with Philip Welch, for a short time after the disappearances and provided a sworn affidavit that she had heard conversations between the three men that supposedly kidnapped and murdered these girls, where they disclosed that the murder victims had owed them money and that Welch kept a briefcase containing Polaroid photos in which the girls showed the girls bound and gagged with duct tape and lying on a bed.
If it's true that Danny Freeman got mixed up with the wrong people, and perhaps he got mixed up with these guys, he owed them money. If you really want to get back at somebody, I guess shooting them in the head and raping their daughter is one way to do it. That's extreme.
Yeah, but you're not going to get any money out of it. You've killed the parents beforehand, and now you're just taking the daughters to have your own. Oh, man, it's just messed up.
It's even more messed up that they were able to get away with this for so long. How many other people have they done this to?
Good point.
This murder took place in 1999.
Two of the guys, Philip Welch died in 2007. David Pennington died in 2015. So this Busick, is he the only one that's being charged with it?
He's the last one.
And is he in jail right now? Is he hopefully being raped by some guy named Kevin?
I believe he was convicted, yes. His trial was last year.
Okay.
And he pled to being an accessory to first-degree murder to the deaths of Danny and Kathy Freeman, to torching their home in Welch, Oklahoma, and to the abduction and presumed slaying of the two girls. He admitted having withheld information about the information of his two accomplices, and it says he got 15 years for the crime, with 10 years to be spent in lockup.
So that's a fucked up story, though.
It is a fucked up story.
But he's still alive. He's still in. I mean, this was just recently, so he's.
July of last year, he went on trial.
Wow, but it still doesn't seem like 15 years is not enough time for this heinous crime.
Hyenas.
That's a My Cousin Vinny reference there. Identical. Well, damn, Krista, thanks for starting us off on a high note.
I told you that this was merry and bright, okay? Joy to the world and everything, all right?
Yes. Well, let's see if I can knock you down a peg. And I came across this one. I don't have a whole lot of information on this one. I thought was kind of interesting because we just finished talking about the Salem witch trial. And what does this headline read from the Daily Mail? The torture chamber flat where a 15-year-old boy was beaten, stabbed, and drowned because an evil couple accused him of being a witch.
That's fucked up.
That's fucked up. And this was Christy Bamu, and that is the 15-year-old boy, Christy. This happened in the UK. Christy Bamu, 15, was tortured, drowned in a bath on Christmas Day in 2010 by his sister, Magali, and her partner, Eric Bakubi. They believed that he had cast spells on another child in the family, and they took it upon themselves to torture this kid. And Christy was there visiting with, I believe, 2 other siblings, and they started torturing all of them. He had come to London with his 2 sisters from their home in Paris to visit Magali during Christmas holiday in 2010. Bakubi turned on them, accusing them of bringing Kendoki or voodoo into their home. He forced them to pay for deliverance for 3 days and nights and deprived them of food and water. So the sisters were aged 20 and 11. They were beaten along with Christy, but escaped further attacks after confessing to being a witch. Sound familiar?
I mean,
They didn't get hung, but we were just talking about this.
The devil made me do it.
Devil made me do it. Christy was singled out after wetting his pants. So I guess the devil made him do that too. He was struck in the mouth with a heavy bar and hammer, knocking out his teeth. Ceramic floor tiles were used to also torture him and cutting them. And they even used a pair of pliers to twist his ear. Okay, this is horrible, horrible stuff, guys. This is just unbelievable that somebody would go to this extent to torture somebody because they think they were a witch. And this was, 11 years ago. I thought we have moved on since then. I thought we've grown smarter since then. I guess not. There are pictures of these torture devices, bloody knives, a bloody hammer, the pair of pliers, a stick that they beat him. It says that Christy had 130 separate injuries and died from a combination of being beaten and drowned.
Jeez.
Unbelievable madness. The children had no option to do as they were told because I believe that the other children were also forced to torture Christy. I put this one aside. I wasn't going to bring it up, but because it was tied into our witch thing, that's why I felt that it was still, yeah. But this is horrible, horrible. Bakubi admitted to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility caused by brain damage. I've got another story I'm going to bring up where somebody has had brain damage and have now then flipped and it's made them into this murderous monster. Is that just it? Because I'm clumsy, okay? I hit my head all the time on things. I am probably one door frame away from becoming a crazed maniac. Krista, I know that I'm clumsy too. I'm afraid that your whole family's in danger if you hit your head one more time.
It's true. I do hit my head on the damn corner of that shelf next to the Coke fridge habitually every time I have to lift that fridge. I hate it. And I'm probably suffering some brain damage. I don't know.
Scotland Yard said it investigated 83 cases of involving abuse from ritualistic or faith-based belief over the last 10 years. Detective Terry Sharp said the sentencing reflected the brutality and sadistic cruelty inflicted on Christy in the days leading up to his death. As for what they received, I do not have that information. So it was just two sisters. He had a 20-year-old sister and an 11-year-old sister that both escaped further attacks after confessing, but then they were made to torture him. In court, his sister Kelly, now 21, said it was if they were obsessed by witchcraft and they decided that we had come there to kill them. She also added that Christy asked for forgiveness. He asked again and again. Magali, his oldest sister, did absolutely nothing. She didn't give a damn. She said we deserved it. So Bamu was also found guilty of 2 counts of assault charges, which Bakubi pleaded guilty to. Horrible, horrible stuff from the UK.
Yeah.
2010. Do not torture your family members. Please don't, especially with a pair of pliers twisting the ear. I think that's what threw me off the most when you're like, what the fuck?
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So that was just a little story I wanted to bring to you. So what else you got for me?
Well, in 2007, Christmas 2007, it was Christmas Eve, and Michael Anderson and his, Michelle Anderson.
Michelle.
And Joseph, I don't think how I pronounce his last name.
It's like McEnroe.
McEnroe.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're dating, they're hanging out, and they live on Michelle's parents' property. They live in a trailer. And they are disgruntled with her mother because, how dare she ask them to pay rent, you know? How dare she, right? But she did. And, this pissed them off so bad that they thought, you know what? I think we should just go into your house on Christmas Eve and blow everybody away, which is exactly what they did.
I'm sure.
They killed Michelle's brother, his wife, their 2 children, who were 3 and 5, respectively. They killed Michelle's parents. Then when they were finished, one of them called 911. One of the family members called 911. The line went dead, but the police responded to the call anyway. But by the time the police got there, the house was already dark, it was locked up, and they just decided to leave. Mm-hmm. So because of that, it was 2 days before a coworker, one of Michelle's mother's coworkers, came by to check on them. She didn't show up for work. And that's when she peeked in the window, because that would have been really hard for the police to do. And that's when she saw the bodies of Michelle's brother and his wife and their children on the floor in the living room.
So I spent a lot of time reading about this story too. There are extensive YouTube videos of the trial, and you can listen to this little motherfucker McEnroe talk about this endlessly. They killed the parents and they drug them out to the barn or a shed out back, and they waited for the brother and his wife and their 2 kids to show up. And they went on like nothing was, hey, everything's happy and having a good time. They cleaned up the murder of the parents before they arrived and said, okay, we're going to have Christmas now. And then they opened fire on the family. I think actually when they killed the parents, I think what I heard in some of the conversation is that Michelle tried to shoot her dad and the gun misfired. And the dad got up and started charging towards her. And that's when McEnroe shot him. He goes on stating in his testimony that I only remember hearing 1 shot, but I guess there were 2. He's really full of himself. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm going to make fun of him because he's a little pissant and he needs to burn in hell. But his actions on the stand and his demeanor, and he's just a loathsome individual, and he wanted people to like him. He made jokes up on the stand. Don't do that. Don't make jokes. I don't know if he was trying to make himself likable or that he was distraught over the things that happened, but he blamed everything on Michelle, said that she got him to do all of these things and to kill her entire family. When the brother and sister came over and they started killing them, I guess the wife, the brother and his wife, right? Her name was Erica. She was 32 years old. I guess she wasn't mortally wounded, and while they were messing around and trying to get the gun to work properly or what, she turned around and she grabbed the phone and called 911. And there's like 5 seconds of the recording on 911, and they played it. It's horrifying, and it's just screaming. And then the phone goes dead. McEnroe said he grabbed the phone, he yanked the battery out, and then he threw the phone on the ground and destroyed it before he ended up killing the girl again, with a fatal shot. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is fucked up.
That is really messed up. What was this case, in 2007?
Yes, December 24th, 2007.
The following year, Christmas Day, 2008, Erin Allegra of Port St. Was it Lucy, Florida? She was having some serious financial troubles, had lost several jobs, left several failed relationships, but she did have this 8-year-old son, Tristan. And on Christmas Eve, they had dinner at Denny's, and then they checked into a Holiday Inn near their home. They weren't actually at home, but they went to this hotel near their home. They stayed up late until midnight. They watched cartoons and hung out and had fun. And she told him, yeah, Santa comes to hotels. Yeah, He knows where we are. But I guess out of hopelessness or feeling hopelessness or some kind of hopelessness, she smashed up 8 Advil and fed them to her son. She thought this would kill him. She thought he would OD.
Wow, I hate to tell you that's like breakfast, right? At my age.
He does not die. Instead, it's like 3 a.m. It's in the middle of the night. She decides to just take a pillow and smother him. She does this until, he stops moving. And then she decided, the plan was she was going to take her own life as well by slitting her wrists in the bathtub. Except the blade was too dull, and she ultimately called police, and her life was saved. But she did leave several notes. I think one said, "Out of selflessness and love, I could not leave you, and I was not strong enough to stay, but remember, I love you always, and thanks for being my sweet boy." And it's very sad because I don't really know what her situation was, but you're having Christmas Eve dinner at a Denny's, and your plan is, to smother your kid and slit your wrists.
Yeah, that's showing a lot of love right there.
I guess in her mind, she thought that she was going to make it easier for him if she just pretended like they were going to have Christmas the next day. Even though her real plan was to drug him with Advil, and when that didn't work, smother him.
Yeah.
She did keep a journal. I think she might have written, quite a bit about how lonely and hopeless she really was, or at least how she really felt. She talked about how there was nowhere else to turn to. She was alone, no one to help her, nowhere to go, and didn't know what else to do. And there was no one to rescue her either. Did she have any family that was reaching out to her that was wondering why she and her son hadn't shown up for Christmas dinner? I mean, was her husband Was that the only family she had? Did she not have friends? And that is that's a very real thing. Like, at this time of year, there are people who honestly just don't have, they don't have anybody the rest of the year either. But this time of year makes that exceptionally sad.
It takes especially evil person to kill a child and to kill your own child. Smothering, that's a very personal murder. You are that close. You are holding somebody's life in your hands, and somebody that's that young who cannot protect themselves and relies on the parents to protect them, and they're the ones that are causing them the most harm. It's unforgivable.
Well, and I don't know what the story is with the child's father and his family, and certainly I'm not suggesting that, she should kill herself or anything like that, but she had made up her mind that she was going to do this, but had also made the decision that she was going to take the child with her.
Well, the same thing with the one we were just talking about, which was the Carnation Massacre, right? And that was with the Andersons. I think that's what they're calling it, the Carnation Massacre, with the 2 children. There was a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Mm-hmm. I think they were both shot in the head. In part of the testimony said that the 3-year-old was clutching his dead mom when he was killed, and he actually picked up the batteries to the phone that he had broken and was trying to hand them to McEnroe, who then just I believe he was the one that pulled the trigger. But it's just horrible. And both of them were charged with 6 counts of aggravated first-degree murder. And they're never going to get out.
Yeah, they can rot in jail forever.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, I think McEnroe, he turned on the daughter, Michelle Kristen Anderson, to try to keep himself from receiving the death penalty. It's horrible stuff. And how can you kill a kid? Well, I got a story that kind of goes down the same kind of path. I'm sorry. Why is it always we got to kill the families? I'm going to kill my families with kindness this year. I'm going to be a good guy this year. No more bah humbug. I'm not listening to Christmas music and dancing around in a Santa suit, but I'm trying to be a little bit more jolly this year because, you know what? I'm very optimistic about our future. I may be stupid and I may be drunk at some times when I make this statement, but I'm optimistic. It was early Christmas Day in 1929 in Germantown, North Carolina. And I'm reading this off of, this is southerncalls.com, but I've also found Murderpedia. And a lot of these smaller stories, they kind of have there's a hard time trying to find information about them. So you do see a lot of Wikipedia. But anyway, I'm talking about the Lawson family tragedy. Now, Charlie Lawson was 43, his wife Fanny, 37, and their 7 children. He loaded them up and took them into town and spent money on them. He was kind of in sharecropping tobacco and started doing that in 1927. And I think he earned enough money to buy his own little farm, his own little house. And they went out and he showered them with gifts. And they took a family photo, which is almost haunting because ain't nobody smiling. Okay, it was 1929. There probably wasn't a whole lot to smile about anyway. But yeah, these kids, they look miserable. As it says here, Christmas Day in 1929, Marie woke up early to blend butter, sugar, egg whites. I made a raisin cake, I believe it was. And this was left, and this was found after the fact. And I think they actually had like a museum where they had this leftover cake preserved in some sort of display. But anyway, while the cake was cooling, Charlie and Arthur and the 2 dogs went out on a hunting expedition. And they ran out of ammunition. So Charlie sent his son, the oldest son, which I think was 16, Arthur, he sent him into town to go buy some more ammo. And while his son was away, he decided to kill his whole family. It says Marie was finishing up in the kitchen. Her 2 younger sisters, Carrie and Maybelle, who was 12 and 6 at the time, decided to visit their aunt and uncle nearby. What neither Marie or her mother could know is that Charlie was waiting by the barn, and he shot them dead and bludgeoned them with a hoe handle. This is a very specific hoe handle. Is it the Hoe Handle Massacre? Charlie returned to the house and shot his wife, who was peeling potatoes. He got his son out of the house to go buy ammunition just so he could kill everybody and not him. I don't understand why he was decided to save his son's life. I don't know. Charlie returned to the house, shot his wife. He swung the door open and pulled the trigger, striking Marie, who slumped to the floor in front of the fireplace. Reloading, he shot the 2-year-old James and the 4-year-old Raymond, and then bludgeoned the 4-month-old Mary Lou to death.
Sounds like Hinterkaifeck blog I wrote about.
Yeah. Everybody was found in the barn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was horrible.
All of them been killed with the axe, been bludgeoned with the axe.
This is nasty, nasty stuff. It says the reason for the horrific massacre is a subject of debate. The mention of a Christmas surprise have led some to believe that Charlie's act was premeditated. I think it was. Others blame Charlie's head injury. However, an autopsy analysis of his brain at Johns Hopkins found no abnormalities.
You know, there is a real theory, though, that because I don't know if you've seen it or not. Oh, shit, I can't even think of his name. Hernandez? Aaron Hernandez, a football player.
Okay. Right.
And there was a documentary on Netflix about him and him killing somebody, ultimately killing himself. And when they did his autopsy, they found some injuries in his brain, which his surgeon had said was the worst in his career that he'd ever seen. I think the suggestion in that documentary was that there was a correlation between serious brain injuries and violent activity.
Okay.
I'm no doctor, so, don't take my word for it.
There's some correlation.
It is a real theory that there is a correlation between now how bad these, like in the football player's case, these are repeated injuries, you know. He's a football player, so he was constantly practicing playing games. So he was taking, even with that helmet on, you're taking blows to the head constantly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not one injury, but many, over and over and over and over again, just making it worse. You know, how extensive that injury has to be to make you become violent and want to, you know, kill your whole family on Christmas, I don't know.
And after this whole ordeal with the Lawson family, yes, Charlie went to the nearby woods and shot himself.
Oh, so he did off himself.
Yeah.
But he had to kill everybody else first before.
Oh, yeah. Except his oldest son, which survived, 16-year-old Arthur, who he had sent on an errand just before starting his deadly work. The bodies of the family members were found with their arms crossed and rocks under their heads. The gunshot signaling Charlie Lawson's own suicide was heard by many people who heard of the gruesome event on the property and had already gathered there. So the police and everybody had already come to the house, and then they heard him kill himself out into the woods. There is a theory, and this came out in a book published in 1990 called White Christmas, Bloody Christmas, that Charlie had an incestual relationship with his daughter, the oldest daughter.
Now it definitely sounds like Hinterkaifeck.
Exactly. It's very, very reminiscent. Anyway, just horrible, horrible stuff. Shortly after the murders, Charlie's brother, Marion Lawson, opened the home on the Brook Cove Road as a tourist attraction. A cake that Marie Lawson had baked on Christmas Day was displayed on tour, but because the visitors kept picking at the raisins on the cake to take as souvenirs, it was placed in a covered glass cake dish, thus preserving it for many years. I'm sorry this happened, but hey, might as well open up as a tourist attraction and start charging some money and make some money off of this shit, eh?
I mean, that's...
There was a song recorded by the Stanley Brothers in 1956 called The Murder of the Lawson Family. Anyway, beautiful stuff. Maybe I'll find that song and play it for us. That was the Lawson family. So, what you got next up, Krista? This is a bloodbath, by the way. These are horrible stories. Merry Christmas, everybody.
How many more do you have?
3, but I think we can talk about the Covina Massacre together.
Which one was that? Ortega?
That is Pardo. Yes.
Pardo.
And Ortega.
And Ortega.
So it says the Covina Massacre occurred on December 24th, 2008 in Covina, a city in the suburbs of Los Angeles.
You know what? I think my coworker Larry is from Covina.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to us, Larry. We want to know more.
I mean, he doesn't live there now because he works with me, but, you know, here in Oklahoma.
That's a little of a commute. Wonder why he's late all the time. Damn it, Larry.
But yeah, I think he's from Covina. I know he's from LA, so...
He's got to know this person because everybody knows everybody in LA.
Absolutely. He can name everybody there. I mean,
Yeah.
All of them.
So we're talking about Bruce Jeffrey Pardo. Again, what is it with the 3 names? Now, do we do that after the fact? When there's a horrible crime, do we put a 3rd name on these criminals?
I can't swear to it, but I think usually it's done to separate them from someone else who might have that same name.
Honestly, it's not me.
Like if I committed a crime and it made national news, I mean, I would say throwing my middle name in there would help, but it really won't because it turns out that there is another Krista Marie Funk out there.
Dun, dun, dun.
She's a doctor.
Oh. What kind of a doctor, do you know?
I don't.
Oh, okay. You need to find out.
I'm not a doctor, but I played one on TV though.
Okay.
So.
There's another Tim Kornman in, I think, Pennsylvania, and who's a teacher. Yeah.
So I don't really know if that's why they do that.
That sounds
you
plausible.
know, or if it's like this is the name on his ID, you know, like I'm not sure why, but I have seen like online when you know something's going on and people are going after the wrong person because they share the same name, and that person's like, whoa,
Gotcha.
whoa, I am not so and so. Y'all take your pitchforks somewhere else. You know, I've seen it online on Facebook. I've seen it happen. But if that's why they do that, I'm not real sure. But I do know that while this shooting was going on, one of the reasons we know it was this Bruce Pardo was because someone yelled, "It's Bruce."
Oh, right. He got made immediately.
Somebody recognized him while the shooting was going on.
Okay.
And was trying to warn the others, you know, and yelled, "It's Bruce." But what's the strangest part of the story, Tim?
He was dressed up like Santa.
He was dressed up like Santa Claus.
And made a homemade flamethrower out of using a compressor and a rig that he made up with some high-octane racing fuel. Simple gasoline could not do enough. He had to go for the expensive stuff to make sure that he's going to burn down his ex-wife's family house, as I think there were 25 people in this house celebrating Christmas. What a dickweed.
Yeah, he shows up around 11:30 dressed as Santa Claus, and there's an 8-year-old who answers the knock at the door. She sees him, and of course, it's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So, of course, she flings the door open. She is excited, and believe it says here that he pulled out a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and shot the young girl in the face.
In the face.
Before entering the home and shooting the rest of the family.
Shooting a lot of people.
And this was all over a divorce, a nasty divorce.
Yeah.
He's jealous. He's upset.
It wasn't even that nasty. I mean, we've heard of nastiness. I think the marriage between him, was this girl Sylvia, is that his wife's name?
Mm-hmm.
They were only married for like a year, and she found out that, yes, he was married before and that he had a child who... with this other woman, and this child had nearly drowned while it was under his care, and the child suffered permanent brain damage because of this. And he left his wife and didn't take care of his kid and gave them some money, but basically just walked away from it saying, "It's not my problem." Got married to this other chick several years later, and everything was good for a while, but he was stingy with his own freaking money. He was working a good job, had a good income, but she had 3 kids, and I think she was working kind of a secretarial job, so nothing that was really going to, bring in the cash. But they had a falling out and a divorce, and I think he was subsequently fired from his job because of... I read something possible of not necessarily embezzlement, but he was falsifying some records for billing for his clients, and so fraud.
It says here that during the chaos, Alicia, or maybe it's Alicia or Alicia Ortega, managed to call 911, in which she yelled, it's Bruce. He's in the house. He's shooting my family, and my house is on fire. By the time this was all said and done, he'd killed 9 people, either due to the fire or due to shooting them. Among those who were dead were his ex-wife and both of her parents. The 8-year-old that he shot in the face, however, guess what? She survived.
That's awesome. And I think she's an anti-gun activist now. Another bloggist who wrote about this said that she, at the age of like 18 at her high school, arranged for a senior walkout in protest of gun violence. So I thought that was very interesting. But not only did he set the house on fire, but he set himself on fire. What I was reading, there were 2 fireplaces in the house, and this high-octane fuel that he was spraying around, which he was hoping to set fire to the house after he left, kind of got away from it and set himself on fire along with everybody else.
Yeah, it says following the massacre, Bruce drove to his brother's home and shot himself dead. But I'm not real sure if he shot himself, if he died in that fire.
The Santa suit was somewhat adhered to his skin. I read this somewhere.
That's right. I thought I had read somewhere that it had like melted to his skin, the material that the Santa suit was made out of.
But totally premeditated. He had like rented 2 cars, and one of them he booby-trapped with a bomb that was underneath the Santa suit that he left behind.
And he wrapped up the flamethrower like a present.
Yes, when he wheeled it in, like, oh, ho, 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 look what I bought you.
He had a Santa bag that had the gun in it that he shot the 8-year-old with. You know, I wonder if he knew that one of the children would answer the door. I mean, if an adult had answered, I guess his plan was to just shoot whoever answered the door and force his way in.
I guess. The first thing you see is an 8-year-old and you decide, well, I'm here to do everything. I might as well start here. That's horrible. And him killing himself was probably way better of a death than he could have ever received. It says here, it was initially believed that Pardo intended to flee to Canada because he had bought an airplane ticket. But I think his plan kind of fell apart of any kind of escape when he was burned himself. You know, he wasn't going to get very far looking like he did with burn wounds. It said he had over 200 rounds of ammunition. I think he had like 4 9mm guns with 13 round capacity magazines, and just laid waste to the entire house. I think the house, there's pictures, but I mean, it was just decimated.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's just horrible. There are several accounts here. If you guys want to read it, I'll put a link up to it also on this Murderpedia. It goes on and on. It's several pages long. But this horrible event.
9 members of your family gone in one night. You know, I joke with my coworkers or my kids or my husband, whoever, everybody, when they mess up. And it's just kind of a cute thing I do to just make them, you know, smile and make them understand that the mistake is okay. Yeah. You know, I'll just joke with them and I'll be like, well, you know, Christmas is now ruined forever. Yeah, and I mean, it'll be July and I'll be making this joke, you know. Somebody clocked in late. Well, Christmas is ruined.
You ruined Christmas.
I couldn't make the deposit this morning. Christmas is ruined. No matter what it is, Christmas is always ruined. But it's not until this moment, actually just now, that I've thought, like, what if I were to meet this girl and I don't know her past and I was to say that to her? Mm-hmm. I mean, when in real life, Christmas probably truly is ruined for her, for all of these people, you know, who, I mean, it really isn't a joke. These people suffered a serious traumatic event that would otherwise make this holiday absolutely unbearable.
Yeah, it's a horrible events. And we joke about murder and death, and we are going to continue to this. And this is our own coping mechanism, because if we can't talk about it, if we can't make jokes about it, then all this is going to dwell on us, and who knows what kind of irreparable damage it could do if we let this in our head in the wrong way. I don't know what I was trying to say there. I'm trying to say, guys, don't kill anybody. Don't kill your family. You've been listening to The Moratorium, an MT Cornfield production. Tune in next week as we crash your New Year's party with part 2 of Christmas Carnage. If you have any suggestions or just want to tell us how much we really suck, you can contact us at moviemoratorium@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and long live VHS.